Have you ever noticed how easy it is to choose the immediate pleasure? That extra slice of cake, hitting snooze one more time, scrolling through your phone instead of opening that book. It feels natural, almost instinctive. But when you try to think about the future, about saving for retirement, learning a new skill, or sticking to a fitness plan, it often feels uncomfortable. It's like you're fighting against your own mind, and you are. There's a very deep, very old reason why short-term thinking feels so right, and long-term thinking feels like such a struggle. It's not a personal failing, it's a fundamental feature of how our brains are wired. To understand this, we need to travel back in time. Not just a few years, but tens of thousands of years. For our ancestors, survival was a minute-to-minute, day-to-day affair. The world was full of immediate threats and immediate opportunities. A rustle in the bushes could mean a predator. A ripe fruit hanging from a tree was a source of energy right now. Their brains evolved to be incredibly effective at dealing with the present moment. The part of our brain responsible for quick, reactive decisions, the amygdala, was the star player. It managed the fight-or-flight response and prioritized immediate survival above all else. Long-term planning? That was a luxury they couldn't afford. Wondering about next year's harvest was less important than finding food for tonight's meal. This ancient operating system is still running in our modern skulls. It creates what scientists call a present bias. Our brain is hardwired to value immediate rewards far more than future rewards. $100 today feels much more valuable than $110 a year from now, even though, logically, the future option is better. The promise of a distant benefit feels abstract and unreal to this ancient part of our mind. It's like a faint signal that gets drowned out by the loud, clear call of immediate gratification. The future you is a stranger to your present brain. This is why we procrastinate. The immediate comfort of avoiding a difficult task outweighs the distant satisfaction of completing it. It's why we give in to temptation. The instant pleasure of that donut is more tangible than the long-term goal of better health. Our brain discounts the value of the future, making it incredibly easy to ignore. This leads us to a fascinating concept called emotional discounting. It's not just that we logically undervalue the future, we emotionally disconnect from it. Think about your future self, the person you'll be in 10 or 20 years. For most of us, that person feels like someone else. Researchers have even shown through brain scans that when we think about our future selves, the brain activity looks remarkably similar to when we think about a complete stranger. We lack a strong emotional connection to that future version of us. So when we make a decision, we're not really weighing the comfort of our present self against the well-being of our future self. We're weighing our own immediate feelings against the needs of a person we barely know. And in that contest, who do you think wins? The present self, every single time. This emotional gap is the reason why warnings about long-term consequences, whether it's for our health, our finances, or the environment, often fail to motivate us. The future problem doesn't feel real. The future pain isn't our pain. The future reward isn't our reward. It's an abstract concept that we can easily set aside in favor of what feels good right here, right now. Every impulse purchase, every skipped workout, every moment of procrastination is a victory for the present self at the expense of that future stranger. So, if our brains are wired this way, are we doomed to a life of short-term thinking? Not at all. This is where we can learn from high performers, the athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists who seem to operate on a different timeline. They haven't magically rewired their brains. Instead, they've consciously trained themselves to bridge the gap between their present and future selves. They've developed the skill of long-term thinking. How do they do it? First, they make the future tangible through visualization. They don't just have a vague goal, they create a vivid, detailed, and emotional picture of their desired outcome. A marathon runner doesn't just think about finishing the race. They feel the sun on their skin, hear the roar of the crowd, and imagine the overwhelming sense of accomplishment as they cross the finish line. This emotional richness makes the future reward feel more real and more immediate, giving it the power to compete with present-day temptations. Second, they systematically measure trade-offs. They understand that every yes to something is a no to something else. Instead of making impulsive decisions, they pause and ask, what am I giving up by choosing this immediate comfort? What future benefit am I sacrificing? This deliberate process engages the prefrontal cortex, the more modern, rational part of our brain, pulling the decision away from the purely emotional, short-term focused amygdala. They think in terms of years and decades, not just hours and days. A great investor doesn't get rattled by a bad day in the market. They are focused on the 10-year trend. A successful founder builds a company culture that will last, not just one that will hit next quarter's targets. They zoom out and see the bigger picture, which makes the small, daily sacrifices seem logical and worthwhile. This brings us to the core of it all, the practice of delayed gratification. It's a term you've probably heard before, famously studied in the marshmallow test, where children were offered one marshmallow now or two if they could wait. The ability to wait for the bigger reward is one of the most powerful predictors of long-term success in life. But delayed gratification isn't a personality trait you're born with. It's a discipline. It is a muscle that can be trained. And like any muscle, it gets stronger with use. Every time you choose to go to the gym instead of staying on the couch, you're doing a rep for your delayed gratification muscle. Every time you put money into your savings account instead of spending it on an impulse buy, you're strengthening it. Every time you sit down to work on a difficult project instead of scrolling social media, you are building that mental fortitude. The key is that this discipline compounds quietly. The results aren't immediate. You don't get fit after one workout. You don't get rich after one savings deposit. The progress is slow, almost invisible from day to day. It's a silent process of accumulation. But over months and years, these small, consistent acts of discipline build on each other, creating an exponential curve of growth. This is the quiet magic of compounding, whether it's in finance, knowledge, or health. It's powered entirely by the ability to choose the future reward over the present comfort. So, what is the ultimate advantage of mastering this skill? In a world that is increasingly geared towards instant gratification, where everything is available on demand, the ability to think long-term is a genuine superpower. It's the ultimate competitive edge. While most people are caught in the frantic cycle of reacting to the present moment, chasing the next dopamine hit, you are calmly and deliberately building your future. You become the architect of your own life, rather than just a passenger reacting to the scenery. Those who can connect with their future selves, who can feel the pull of a distant goal as strongly as the temptation of an immediate pleasure, are the ones who achieve extraordinary things. They build lasting wealth. They cultivate deep and meaningful skills. They create legacies that endure. They understand a fundamental truth. Time is the raw material of life. How you choose to invest it, in the fleeting pleasures of the present or the compounding assets of the future, determines the entire trajectory of your existence. In the end, it's simple. Those who master time master outcomes. They see the world not just for what it is, but for what it could be. And they have the discipline to close that gap, one patient, deliberate decision at a time. Thank you for watching.